Have you ever just stood there with the refrigerator door open on a hot day and thought, how how does this box get so cold? I mean, it's something we use every single day, right? But for most of us, it's basically magic. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that magic. So stick with me and let's uncover the secret of how refrigeration really works.
So let's just start with that one fundamental question. How does a refrigerator, or an air conditioner for that matter, actually make things cold? It feels like it should be a simple question, but the answer is so clever and probably not at all what you're thinking.
And here it is, the big secret. A refrigerator doesn't create cold. It can't. That's not really a thing. Instead, what it is, it's a heat mover. It's just a really sophisticated machine designed to grab heat from inside the box and just dump it outside. So that cold you feel, that's just what's left when you take the heat away. The real story here is all about a journey. The journey of heat being moved from where you don't want it to somewhere you don't even notice it.
Now, every great journey needs a traveler, a guide, right? In our story, that traveler is a pretty special fluid called a refrigerant. This stuff is our hero. Its one and only purpose in life is to absorb heat, carry it, and then let it go as it travels through a totally sealed-off loop of pipes.
And this is its path. What you're looking at here is basically the roadmap for our whole story, the vapor compression cycle. And you can see it's got 4 main stops on the tour. We've got the compressor, the condenser, the expansion valve, and the evaporator. Our little refrigerant traveler is going to make a complete circuit through all 4 of these, changing from a gas to a liquid and back again, all just to move that heat.
All right, let's start our journey at stop number 1, the compressor. You can think of this as the engine of the whole operation. It's the powerhouse that really gets everything moving.
The best way to think about the compressor is as the heart of the system. Seriously, it takes in the refrigerant, which at this point is just a cool, low-pressure gas, and it squeezes it hard. And you can probably guess what happens when you compress a gas like that. The molecules get packed together, and its pressure and its temperature just skyrocket. So what leaves the compressor is a really hot, high-pressure gas.
And of course, compressors aren't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Just look at these. On the left, you've got an open compressor. You see these in big industrial systems, and you can actually take them apart and fix them. But on the right, that's a hermetic or sealed compressor. And that little black dome, that's probably what's on the back of your refrigerator at home. Super compact, efficient, and completely sealed for life.
And the engineering behind them is just so cool. There are all these different ways to get that squeeze. You've got reciprocating pistons, kind of like in a car engine. You've got these intricate scrolls and screws, even centrifugal ones. Each design is perfectly tailored for a specific job. It's just a fantastic example of some really clever engineering.
Okay, so, quick recap. Our refrigerant is now a super hot, high-pressure gas. To continue its journey, it has to get rid of all that heat it's carrying. And that brings us to the next stop on our tour, cooling down. This is the condenser's job. You know those coils on the back or maybe underneath your fridge that always feel warm? Yep, that's the condenser. As that hot gas flows through all those coils, it just radiates its heat out into your kitchen. And as it loses that heat, it does something amazing. It has a phase change, condensing from a gas back into a warm, high-pressure liquid.
And just like with compressors, there's more than one way to do this. Almost everything we use at home, our fridges, our AC units, they're air-cooled. They just use a fan to blow air over the coils. But when you get into massive industrial systems, they often use water-cooled condensers because water is way more efficient at carrying away huge amounts of heat.
So our refrigerant is now a warm, high-pressure liquid. But before it can do its job and absorb heat again, we have to get it ready. And that's where this tiny but absolutely critical component comes in, the expansion valve. It's basically a tiny gate. And as the liquid refrigerant is forced through that tiny opening, its pressure just plummets. And what happens when a fluid's pressure drops that fast? It gets cold, really cold. Now it's finally ready for the main event.
We've now arrived at the part of the journey where the real magic happens. This is the component that's actually inside the space you want to cool. This is the chill zone.
So this super cold, low-pressure liquid refrigerant flows into the evaporator, and because its pressure is so low, it has a really, really low boiling point. So as the warmer air from inside your fridge gets blown across the evaporator coils, the heat from that air is enough to make the refrigerant boil and evaporate back into a gas. And that act of boiling is what absorbs the heat, literally pulling it out of the air and making your fridge cold.
Now, if you've ever looked inside a freezer, you've probably noticed that the evaporator coils aren't just bare pipes.
They're covered in all these thin metal sheets, these little fins. And there's a very simple, very clever reason for that. It's all about making that heat transfer happen as fast as possible.
And here's why it works so well. Just look at all those fins. It's a simple but brilliant idea, really. Each one of those fins dramatically increases the surface area that's touching the air. More surface area means a much faster, much more efficient transfer of heat from the air into the refrigerant. So now our refrigerant has done its job, it's absorbed the heat, and it's heading back to the compressor as a cool, low-pressure gas to start the whole journey all over again.
So those are the four main players. But, a real-world system has a few other key components. Think of them as the system's guardians. They make sure everything runs smoothly and safely.
We won't go too deep here, but let's just give a quick shout out to a few of these unsung heroes. You've got the thermostatic expansion valve, or TEV. That's a smart valve that feeds the perfect amount of refrigerant to the evaporator. An oil separator makes sure the compressor stays lubricated. And dryers? They're like little sponges that pull out any tiny bit of moisture that could freeze up and wreck the whole system. They're not the main characters, but the show couldn't go on without them.
So, there you have it. We followed our refrigerant guide through one complete cycle. Let's just take one last look at its never-ending journey.
And here we are, right back where we started. The refrigerant gets squeezed into a hot gas, it cools down and condenses into a liquid, it expands into a super cold mix, and then it boils back into a gas by absorbing heat. Squeeze, release heat, expand, absorb heat, over and over and over again. It's this constant, elegant loop, all designed to do just one thing: move heat from the inside to the outside.
So, next time you open your fridge or you feel that blast of cool air from your AC unit, you'll know the secret. It's not making cold. It's just on a relentless mission to move heat. Which kind of makes you wonder, right? What other everyday magic is hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to understand it?